Hey there, welcome back. Today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to do long patterns on the Ambient Zero. It's a pretty amazing piece of equipment. I've just been stunned at how long you can create things that evolve for and not repeat for such a long time. It took me a few minutes to wrap my head around that. So today I kind of want to go over that, just a quick little tip, and then after that I'll show you a piece of music that I did to figure this out, and we'll create, I don't know if we'll create something, but I'll walk through the whole process, and then I'm just going to share a couple thoughts on what I've learned with this thing so far. It's a little sensitive when it comes to tweaking, and you kind of have to be very in the zone when you're playing with the knobs once you get a pattern. And definitely be sure you're on the right pattern to save often, because you can get in a world of hurt if you spend a long time and then just press the wrong button, which I've done 1,000 times. So I'm going to try to help you so you don't make the same mistakes that I did, and get involved with this a little bit quicker, because it's a really, really beautiful, fun instrument. Okay, so first of all, I have a pattern here that I've created. All four pads are, or all four tracks are being used on our first drone track. Oh, pardon me. Sorry, everything's in the way here. If we go to shift and length, no, function length, there we go, function and length down here, you'll see that our drone is, pad 1 is set to 16 beats, which is basically one measure. But if you also come over here at function and hit note right next to length, you'll see that it is a whole note. So for ease of explaining this, I'm going to turn our metronome on. So let's go function metronome, it's on. Okay, beautiful. This is where it really messed me up a bit. So right now I actually have it synced up to what you can't see over here, which is a Korg elect drive. This is my master clock, and I just have this steadily beating 4 on the floor. The tempo's at 68 beats per minute. And just so you can kind of see how this can kind of mess you up a little bit, this is your metronome here, but you're only going to hear, since we have it set on 1, a whole note, you're only going to hear it ticking not randomly, but once every measure. So I guess it's easiest just to hit start. Let's do this. First, let's mute some tracks. So we just are listening to the drone now. Okay, so you can hear, let me turn my headphones down low, it's so loud for me. Okay, so you can hear 4 on the floor, right? That's coming from the Korg elect drive. Every 4 or every measure, you're hearing 1 tick, and you're seeing this progress 1 measure at a time. Should go here next. Okay, so this is going to give us, we're going all the way to 16 here. And though it looks like we set our length to 1 measure, since we set everything down to whole note, it's taking a long time to get that measure done. And these are pre-programmed. Do I still have that on there? Hold on. Mute. Yeah, mute that little noisy track. So all we should have, that's all I want right now, is just the drone track. Okay, so now we finally loop back around, and you see how long that was, right? Took a really long time. Now, if we stop and we go into track 1, make sure you're always on the right track, because this will definitely mess you up. That's messed me up so much. Hold function and go to note. We're on 1, a whole note. If you look, you can go up to half note, dotted, quarter, all the way up to where we at 30-second notes. Or if you go down, we were on 1, remember, whole note. You can have 2 whole notes. You can have 4. You can have 3. You can go all the way to 8. When I first started to come up with this pattern, to think about doing this video, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to make it as long as I can make it. Oh, this would have taken forever because this thing will just go and go. It's pretty insane. So I actually have this pattern saved on another one. Let's just see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3. This is set to 8 now. 4, 8, 3 or 4. We're getting there. I should look over here. See, we haven't even progressed to 2 yet. And you're only hearing that metronome coming from here. I have both a kick going as a metronome and then the metronome here. You're barely hearing the metronome here because it's taken from, there you go. Now we're on 2. So you can see I have this set to 16. You can set this to 64 at this resolution. And you can imagine that may take 5-6 minutes to cycle all the way through, maybe even longer, to tell you the truth. So you can get incredibly long patterns with this, but the thing is, you can only really be triggering one note for that full length of the 8, I believe it's 8 whole notes. So that would be 8 whole notes would be 8 measures, essentially. 8 measures in a sense of, it's where it gets really confusing, okay? So I find it's much easier if you sync it up to something else and that's clicking quarter notes for you, giving you a metronome, clicking quarter notes, which is what my elect tribe is doing. Just because I get lost with this guy over here, and in thinking about what chords I'm going to do next, when I can play my next chord, having to count out everything, it can be pretty confusing. There is a way that you can go in and in, I guess, step record mode, program what you want to program, but I haven't even gone that far yet. This is like one of my first stumbling blocks that I came across. So let's take this back down to 1. And once again, that's going to take us what it's calling 1 measure. And this is just on this track, by the way. Okay, so let's maybe to demonstrate, let's go on another track. Now we're on track 2, our pad track. Let's see what that says. Function length, I have it set to 2 measures, 32. Okay, function note, I also have that set to whole notes. So what I did on this track, let's mute. Function 1, mute, 1. Function 2, on. So now we're just going to listen to this. 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 4, 4, 2. Okay. So you hear I have a pad changing every two numbers, we'll call it. I don't know if I can call them measures or not. and just doing the math is kind of confusing for me. But that's what I have on my pad track, and this is going to cycle all the way through, and then we're going to jump over here. Right now we're on page 1, and once this gets through, we're going to cycle over to, this should light up green, and this will be our second page, because I remember I had it set to 32. Now this could be 64. So once again, the amount of chords that you can put in here is pretty insane. See, now we're on this one. Okay? And I just randomly, okay, let's just stop you. I just randomly put in some chords, and it was, I really, without this metronome over here on the right from the electro, I was really getting lost. The clicking and having to count and look at the light and to know where I'm at. It was a little weird. So let's go to our next track over here. So let's turn that on. Let's turn this off. So now we're on 3, atmosphere. Let's hold function and go to length. So this is 64. This is set to 4 measures. So you can see each track, pad, whatever you want to call it, can be its own length and also can be its own note value. So let's see what I have this one set to. Quarter notes. Okay, something normal, something I can wrap my head around. So now you're going to hear the click on this machine, I believe, beat in tandem with this one. Let's see. Yep, there we go. So now you're just hearing track 3, which is another sound I have in there. And I have this to 4 measures. So now we're on page 2. And this is acting like what I'm used to anyway. This is where I can understand where I'm at and not get lost so much. So now we come over here, this turns up red, so that means we're on page 3. And same thing, I just randomly programmed in some notes. This wasn't really thought out too much. I just stayed in key of A minor or C, which I've been doing a lot lately as I'm learning things. And at the same time, one thing that I did do with this track over here is I actually did the function, there you go, function parameter record. So I could tweak the knobs in real time. And you do have to hit record for that to actually get put in there, but it does record all your knob moves. So let's get out of that. Maybe we turn that, there you go, that's off now. Okay, so then lastly, I came over here to my noise track, select it. We do function length, that's 1 measure long, function note, and that's a whole note. So let's see how that goes. 2. Okay, let's stop and start from the beginning. Okay, here we go. 2. Now we're on 3. See how it's clicking once every 4 as opposed to 4 on the floor. Okay, so I think I kind of beat that into the ground. You should kind of get where I'm coming from with that. So the idea with this is you can make some crazy long evolving patterns, and you can, with the LFO, there's 2 LFOs in here, I believe, yeah, LFO1, LFO2. I haven't even dived into them. I've just been skimming the surface of this thing. It's very beautiful and pretty deep what you can do with it. Now, that's how you're going to get really long patterns, okay? So I'm going to play you the whole thing. Let's go to pattern. I say the pattern on 15 and 16 in case I mess one up. So we're just going to start here. I'm going to turn down the click over here, and I'm going to turn off the metronome. So now you're going to hear, and we're going to make sure every one of these is on. They're all on. So you're going to hear the whole thing that I did. So essentially, what can I tell you now from this point? I'll just show you. Once you start to tweak, you got to be very careful because things are very sensitive. You have to treat this machine super gently. It's not like when you're doing a really up-tempo crazy thing where you can just, any little adjustment that you overcompensate for is going to pop out. Like, so say for instance, let's go to our pad sound. Okay, kind of nice. That was a pretty easy one, but actually I have everything turned down. I took my time to try to blend things because very quickly this can get really muddy, very muddy, and then so there's all kinds of things you can tweak over here. It's really kind of cool. So let's come over to this sound, and things can kind of pop out pretty. There you go. That's what I was looking for. You have to be really careful. This is the track that I actually recorded some parameter recording on. You can hear I'm tweaking these two knobs a bit. And things can kind of get out of hand pretty quick if you're not careful. So I would send then your LFOs. Bad sound to do that on. Let's come over here. There you go, you can hear it a bit more here. So, to spare you the really long sequence, my advice would be to really take the time to know what these knobs do, to find the sweet spot, because there's definitely sweet spots on all of these little knobs. It's going to take a little while to get comfortable. Like I said, I haven't really dived too deep. I really haven't played with assigning the LFOs to anything. I haven't touched the attack or release on these sounds. They're just kind of pretty much stock sounds that are in here that I've played with these two on, and the different filters. So there is a filter type thing, which I actually found very helpful in mixing the sounds together, because as I said, things can get muddy really quickly. So I believe it's shift filter type. Nah, see, that's the other thing. Shift over here says knob, and function has this weird button, which I'm thinking is this. But really, function means these long guys, but also these little round things. To me, I see this round thing and I think I associate that with this, but I believe that's just the knobs up here. So if we go function, filter type, bandpass, right? Where am I on? Track 2. Yes, that's what I wanted, a bandpass, because I wanted to take the bottom out because it was getting too muddy with the drone, which is on function low pass. Then over here, where do I have this guy on? Function low pass filter. Okay, and this is that was my high lead, which I think if I come over here, yeah, I had it tuned up a bit just to kind of cut a little bit more, and it was just cutting too much. So I rolled the top off a little bit, and I'm just trying to get everything to sit well. So I don't believe that there's an EQ in here. I haven't found anything, but that's how I'm trying to do my mixing all on this unit, is with the filters, the low pass, high pass, and band pass, trying to find these three tracks, their sweet spot with one another, because like I said, there's so many variables that things can get muddy very quickly. So I hope that this helps. I will say this is a really amazing piece of equipment, very inspiring, very affordable. If you're into ambient music, I think it was like $259 US, and I could spend weeks just playing with this and learning it. I did find it a little tricky I am finding it a little tricky to use. You have to just you have to learn it. You have to know, be sure you're on the right track when you're tweaking things. Save often. That's another thing that I found. Like if pattern isn't lit up and I go to function pattern, oh, it lets me do it. So if I hit, I don't want to save it, tell you the truth. So we're just going to clear that. So if I go pattern 16, that should be my saved pattern. Okay, let's see if we go pattern 15. Should sound the same. Okay, good. Good, I didn't wipe anything out. So, yes, be careful with your tweaking, learn the machine, make sure you're on the right knobs, and saved often. And at the same time, have a blast. This thing is a lot of fun, and it makes some really beautiful sounds, and I'm really just scratching the surface with it. I have a feeling I'm going to be doing a lot more with it, because this is my favorite piece of gear at the moment. I really love ambient music, and I want to just really understand this so I can intentionally create what I'm hearing as opposed to just kind of going with the flow and letting it almost play itself. And then incorporate what you can't see here, which is the rest of the gear, and just have this be a nice bed for me to add all kinds of other things on top. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Please check out my channel. There's a few pieces that I've done with this on there. Another quick little tutorial on how to just get started and make a beat. But I do all types of music, and I'm working towards my first live DAWless gig. You know, I'm a little bit older in life, and I didn't really pursue my passions until a few months ago. I really just got back into music. I've always been an engineer and wrote things, but I was a drummer, never performed DAWless, and it's just a new love of mine and a goal that I have this year to try to make happen. So come follow me, check out my progress. There's a lot of music on the channel, and I'm not a big tutorial guy, but I've just been called lately, some subscribers asking some questions, so I figured I'd just try to help out a little bit, because I definitely got lost in the sky for a few hours. Definitely. So anyway, I talk a lot. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope this finds you well and you learn something. Thank you.